Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. I'm your host FPL Phillips and today it's the penultimate episode of Eddie versus the Algorithm and the last big game week of the season, double game week 37, where a lot is on the line for a lot of teams. This is going to consist of the Algorithm computer-generated team, as always, and my own 11 put together as a free hit draft to try and take it on. I've already won over the course of the season, but the Algorithm, let's have a look at what the top predicted point-scoring players are in this team to maybe try and help you decide on some of the picks that you might want to bring in with some of your transfers for this coming game week. So it was a win for the Algorithm last week, largely thanks to it sticking loyal to Mo Salah. So it's now 19-15 in the series with only 2 game weeks remaining. So becoming it back to 1917 could look like a pretty respectable score for the Algorithm when at some points a few game weeks prior it didn't look like it could end up that way. But let's see if the Algorithm's put together a strong enough team to try and take me on for this week. And we'll kick things off with the goalkeeper, as always, is going to be Dubravka between the sticks for the computer-generated team, which I do think is an interesting keeper pick. The clean sheet odds aren't tremendous for Newcastle at all, and they are, of course, without some key players at the back. Fabian Schär is now the latest addition to that injury list, so they're going to have to field, some of their non-preferred starters. And 2 games against Brighton and Manchester United, which on paper don't look too good. I think if Bruno Fernandes is out, the Man United game looks like a better option. Brighton don't score a tremendous amount of goals, but I still think that there probably is 1 or 2 maybe better goalkeeper options you can go for this week, based purely on statistics and clean sheet odds. I think that if you can squeeze in maybe a Petrovic or someone like that, or even an Edison, but of course with those sides, you are looking at taking up a slot where it could be more valuable in the outfield. So I don't hate Dubravka. Looks like he probably starts both. I think there's competition, obviously, with Nick Pope now. It's a race for him to get fit, and will he be back into the 11 for Newcastle? Newcastle fans will have to let me know. But that's probably enough to put me a little bit off Dubravka, despite his cheap price and his decent performance over the course of the season, which is probably skewing the Algorithm's decision here maybe a little bit for this game week. In defence, we're going to see a back 3 of 2 Spurs players and Vardiol. Vardiol seems the best defensive option at the moment, really, in my opinion, in the game. Very happy I went with him on wildcard 35. He's been tremendous lately and does look like he could have got even more attacking returns over the course of the last few game weeks. Fulham and Tottenham, Man City have the best clean sheet odds and chance of a clean sheet in either of those games, despite them being 2 away fixtures. And they just are the best team to target this week, and he's the best defensive pick. So Man City defender, Vardiol, and then 2 attacking options from them seems to be the best kind of triple up you can have, in my view anyway. And then we've got Romero and Pedro Porro, and that Burnley game is going to be the one that's kind of focused on in this set of fixtures. Man City, I think if you get positive points from there, then you kind of just take it when you have these 2. But there's always a chance they could pick up an attacking return as well and come away with a good haul, and you kind of just start banking on the extra maybe minutes points you can get from these 2, because if it was a single game week, of course you'd want to go for someone like a Ben White or a Gabriel who could still outscore Spurs defenders, but Romero and Pedro Porro do have some attacking threat, and that just about gives them the edge for me, combined with those 2 fixtures and 2 opportunities to get points. I think they could do well this game week, despite what a lot of people are saying. And then in midfield, we're going to see another Spurs asset, so completing the triple up is Heung-min Son, and surprisingly, a very template midfield alongside Palmer, Gordon, and then maybe the slight differential in Kevin De Bruyne. Now, De Bruyne versus Foden is going to be the decision, or the kind of the difference in picks between a lot of FPL teams this game week, and personally, I do still think Foden is a superior option. He just is more of that kind of goal threat than De Bruyne is, and with midfielders, there's that 2-point difference between having scoring as a midfielder and assisting as a midfielder. So it does make quite a significant amount of difference. We have seen De Bruyne in the past, of course, score a lot of goals, but I think Foden has been that kind of asset this season where he is that more of a goal threat than he is the assist threat, and De Bruyne is kind of the reverse, which means that despite the higher price, I still do prefer Foden as an option as he's cheaper, and to be honest, the funds aren't too difficult. You could go for De Bruyne if you're chasing, but it is kind of that if you're chasing in my opinion at this point. Gordon and Palmer, not too much to discuss there. Gordon's been in fantastic form. He's got a home fixture in there against Brighton. Palmer, again, just so good at the moment as an FPL option, so there's not really too much to dispute on penalties, of course, as well. And then up front, I'm assuming we're going to see the very template front three for this game week, which is Nicholas Jackson, Alexander Isak, and then Erling Haaland, who takes the captain's armband. We will discuss the captaincy, as always, in just a moment. But yeah, if you can get these three in for this week, I think there's a very good chance that they all return at least in one of the games. Jackson's been in fine form, so has Isak, and Erling Haaland scored 4 goals last game week, which is probably why the captain's armband is on him, and probably would be for most people anyway if he hadn't done that. So yeah, not too much to say about these three. I think they all look like brilliant options. I don't think there are too many great options outside of this trio as well. You could look at someone like Erasmus Højlund, but with Bruno not being pictured in training recently, I'd be a bit worried to own any attacking United asset or any United asset in general, really. And yeah, then there's Callum Wilson as well, who I think could be a good pick and a very nice punt. He comes in clutch at the end of the season a lot of the time. And so Wilson, if he's starting, will take his chances if he gets them. He's that kind of player where he's kind of the reverse opposite of someone like a Darwin Núñez. He might not get quite as many chances, but you can be sure there's a better chance he's going to end it sticking it in the back of the net. So Wilson is a punt I really like for this game week if you've got a Newcastle stock going and you need a forward. But ultimately, it's going to be a very tough choice to go with bringing in Wilson over bringing in a Jackson for this game week. I think the only situation there is when you need a striker or you want to bring in a striker, but you've already got your 3 Chelsea slots filled up elsewhere, such as a Palmer, then a Chelsea defender, and Petrovic in goal maybe. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. We'll have a look at who's on the bench for this game week. Madueke is there for Chelsea. We've also got Lewis Dunk and Diogo Dalot alongside Andre Onana. So, easily a bench boostable set there. I'd be a bit worried about the double up on United defensive assets just because that was so many players at the moment. No fit starting centre-backs really. Johnny Evans, I think, the only one playing alongside Casemiro. Not really back in that. Lissandro Martinez might be back, but again, can't trust his fitness at the moment, really, and shouldn't really be rushed back into competitive action, you should imagine, anyway, given that United don't have all that much to play for at this stage in the season. So yeah, that's the algorithm team predicted to score 107 points. Let's have a look at how it compares to mine. And I predicted 102 points. I've gone for a slightly different setup in a number of positions. Gone with Foden over De Bruyne. That's the only change to the attacking front 7. But in defence, I have gone with some different personnel options. I've gone with Cucurella in this Chelsea system, where Chalobah, whoever's playing at the right back role, is more of a centre back. And is tucking inside, allowing Cucurella to play that inverted wing-back role that we've seen in a number of teams, different systems, tucking into the midfield. And he has had good data recently. He's not scored that many points. He's scored no goal and stuff like that, which is bringing it down. But I think Cucurella, just because Gusto's not confirmed fit, and even if he is fit, I think Chelsea might stick with this system. Then Cucurella is the one I think I'm going to go for. And Nottingham Forest and Brighton, I think there's a good chance he does well this week. So I'm feeling quite positive about that pick. The same with Dan Burn as well. He has got some attacking threat there. He's the nailed on Newcastle asset. And that's why I've gone with him. And that's meant changing the goalkeeping option just to Vicario because I wanted a doubler in there. And I think he's a better pick than Onana or someone else like that. So I've still got those 3 Spurs assets in my side. So there's not too many changes. As mentioned with Gordon, Palmer, Son, and the front 3, I think they kind of pick themselves, so I wasn't going to change those or think about having anyone different in myself personally. I've gone with some single game week players who I think might do well down there on the bench just to maybe spark your interest in some of those maybe. If you own Saka, then you're probably keeping him anyway, of course, but you could bring him in as somewhat of a differential to people who are on the bench boost, but I think really Odegaard or Havertz, if you're chasing, probably offer more of an upside in terms of rank gain. And then I've gone with Senesi and Branthwaite. Senesi has great attacking threat. Brentford are a team where I think Bournemouth could do well against them. And then Everton have been keeping loads of clean sheets recently. I've got Branthwaite on my bench boost personally, and I'm feeling good about kind of owning him. He's been very consistent, has picked up the odd goal as well, so I'm very happy with him, and that's why he makes it into my free hit draft for this game week on the bench. So you could bench boost this, but it was more just I'm not expecting, obviously, any of these players to come off and replace any of the players in my starting 11 here. It was just to kind of mention and give a shout out to some assets who I think you shouldn't write off, and you shouldn't write off maybe even bringing in if you want an option for this game week to go a bit differential. Finally, we'll discuss the captaincy, so let's move into that. And it's not the most bog standard, straightforward Haaland pick this game week. There are some high predicted points totals amongst some of the other options. Heung-min Son, Isak and Palmer are the ones here you can see, with Son being the highest of the rest compared to Erling Haaland. So if you look at the fixtures in themselves, the stats actually suggest that the Newcastle set are the best attacking-wise. The 1.66 and 2.4 expected goals conceded for Brighton and United, respectively, over the last 6 game weeks. They have been very poor. Tottenham also look like a very poor defence, which is not to say that the Man City fixtures aren't bad in themselves. And of course, what you're getting with Man City are a team who are going for the title again, need goals. They're getting high XG tallies, and Erling Haaland on an expected FPL points per 90 of 11.8 over the last 6 game weeks. So he's definitely getting a lot of chances. He's been putting a lot of those in the back of the net as well, but he still hasn't been putting away all of them. So there's a chance he could even get more points in certain games, I think. And for that reason, I think that Haaland just is the best captaincy option this week. If you want to go with someone different, you can. I'd recommend probably one of the 3 in this game week list. But personally, Haaland is the man for the armband. You can go differential in other areas, but I think the captaincy, it just kind of shows from last week where some people went for Palmer. Even I was tempted to go for Palmer. It can just severely backfire and kind of write off your season if you're chasing. And Haaland, for me, is just the best pick. On paper, on the eye test, everything kind of goes for him. So I feel bad not picking him and not recommending that you probably do the same. But it's that point in the season where if you're chasing and you're miles behind, then why not take a risk? You've got nothing to lose, essentially. So yeah, with that, I'll wish you guys the best of luck for game week 37. Hope your arrows are green and you're able to catch up to whoever's you're behind in your mini leagues. But with that, I'll wish you the best of luck and see you in the next episode, which will be the last of the season. So hopefully, I'll see you there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.